Hello and good afternoon or morning, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Emiko Atherton, and I am the founder of the National Complete Streets Coalition here at Smart Growth America, and thank you for joining me today to talk about the Safe Streets Academy. Today we are going to cover what the Safe Streets Academy is, who the Safe Streets Academy is for, how you can apply, and then we'll have most of the time available for your questions. You will be able to type your questions into the question and answer box on your lower left-hand screen, and we will hopefully have time to get to all of them. So let's start by talking about what is the Safe Streets Academy. The Safe Streets Academy is a program focused on helping communities use proven engineering counter-safety measures to improve traffic safety for all users of the roadway system. We are able to offer this academy through a Road to Zero Innovation Grant through the National Safety Council, which is supported by NHTSA, the Federal Highway Administration, and the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. You can see from the slide that we were one of seven organizations who was selected by the National Safety Council to work on Vision Zero and Road to Zero initiatives. So before I even start, I wanted to say a big thank you to the National Safety Council. We're so excited to be part of really this innovative program and be able to bring this to you. So what is the Academy? The Safe Streets Academy, as I mentioned, is really designed to help communities dig into the details of how to improve traffic safety for all users of the roadway system. It's built around an interactive, in-person, and distance learning methodology where you are learning through lectures, both in-person and webinar, case studies, demonstration projects from national experts on some of the best practices in proven engineering counter safety measures. It's going to happen over a 12-month time frame. And what it really is an academy designed over the course of the year that will engage 3 jurisdictions, and those can be regional jurisdictions, local jurisdictions, tribal jurisdictions. So that could be a city, a county, an MPO, a tribal government, to participate again in these interactive designs. We're going to work on applying these skills to case studies, so experiential learning, and then actually demonstrating the skills through a demonstration project and a presentation to elected leaders in this community. Let's continue to move on. So what will happen is the Academy is focused over a 12-month time frame, and I'm going to go back. I apologize to the previous slide. It got in front of me, where we're going to select 3 communities from anywhere in the United States who will be able to participate in this. We'll have 3 in-person 2-day meetings over the course of about 8 to 9 months. In between those, we're going to have distance learning modules, and so we'll be able to continually engage as a cohort. The distance learning modules will cover things like planning and designing for active transportation, planning and designing for transit, creative placemaking and prototyping to reduce speed. So this is actually going out and starting to test ideas and the best practices that you are learning in your community with community members. Designing and operating for Vision Zero, track of operations overviews, and planning for freight logistics. So who is the Academy for? Well, hopefully it's all of you on the phone. What we are going to do is we are going to select 3 cohorts, as I manage, from singular jurisdictions. We're asking that that cohort involve 10 practitioners from the jurisdictions that include managing public works engineers, managing and mid-level transportation engineers, managing transportation planners, and really people that are involved in the transportation budget decision making. And as I mentioned, they can be from anywhere in the country, but we are asking you to commit to forming this cohort in advance of applying for the Academy. We have found through our work at Smart Growth America and the National Complete Streets Coalition that really building this cohort is important, a diverse cohort is important to have actual change within your jurisdiction. And so sometimes I will host a technical assistance training, and my primary audience is a lot of what we call the believers, or people that really get why to design for all users, but they're there to learn the how. And what we found has been some of the most effective training is including them along with people who are really managing engineers, managing planners, managing people from Public Works and your DOT, your Department of Planning, who may be interested but have a lot of questions. And so we are asking for this diverse group of stakeholders within your jurisdictions, and you can find more information about that within the application. So who's eligible? So we are looking to really reach a broad base of people throughout the United States. So we're asking that your jurisdiction has a population of at least 100,000, and you need to have adopted one of the following: a bicycle or pedestrian master plan, a complete streets policy, a Vision Zero policy, or multimodal design guidelines. In addition, we're asking you in advance to commit to all the requirements of the Safe Streets Academy. So what are we looking at here? So the requirements are that you send a 10-person cohort to all the trainings and participate in all the distance learning modules. We also ask that you complete this demonstration project. And to complete this demonstration project, we are awarding a $8,000 sub-grant, which you must match through either in-kind donations like time or matching funds for the demonstration project. We're also asking that you work with your community to implement and execute the demonstration project, and we will cover how to do that within the Academy. One of the unique parts about this technical assistance offering through the Road to Zero grant initiative is that we're able to bring in some staff from Smart Growth America that are really experts in creative placemaking, so how you use community engagement and art to launch these demonstration projects. We also ask that you commit to working with us to produce a case study on your demonstration project so that other communities who aren't able to participate in the Safe Streets Academies can use the case studies for their own learnings. We're also asking that when we host the training within your community, you can provide meeting space, breakfast and lunch, and transportation to a site visit. And that probably gets to something I haven't answered yet, but what we will be doing is that we will be selecting 3 jurisdictions, and as I mentioned, over about an 8 to 9 month time frame, we'll have those in-person trainings. We will have one training in the community of each selected jurisdiction. So let's say we selected Paris, London, and Madrid. We would have one training in London, and the cohort from Paris and Madrid would travel to the training in London. We would then move to Madrid, where Madrid would host us, and the cohort from London and Paris would join us in Madrid, and then we'd have the final in-person training in Paris, where the cohorts from London and Madrid would join us there. We do provide a travel stipend that should cover most of your travel from this. The last requirement that we ask is that you're really presenting, we ask that you commit to presenting your learnings and safety recommendations to your local DOT and elected leaders. We want to make sure that what you learn through this really innovative academy is shared with your elected leaders and other people within your Department of Transportation, Department of Planning, and Public Works. So how do you apply? Well, you can find our completed application online, and you can see the link right there, but it's smartgrowthamerica.org/safe-streets.academy. In there we have a series of questions about your jurisdiction safety priorities. We also ask that you get a letter of endorsement from a local elected official from that jurisdiction that really shows that they understand and support this project. We will then go ahead and ask that you submit your application by Sunday, July 16th, so that's about 3 weeks away, and we will conduct a series of interviews with the finalists the week of July 31st. So with that, I wanted to turn it over, because this is really a chance for you to ask questions within that. So The first question is an easy one. Is there a maximum or minimum word length for each application's question? The answer is no, although I always, what's the answer? Sorry, it's Friday, everyone. Encourage succinct, clear writing that gets to the point. So there is no maximum or minimum word length, but, we do encourage kind of cohesive, coherent, and to-the-point applications. The next application is, will you accept a multi-jurisdictional group of practitioners that may include a state, DOT, city, and county? This really is, you could apply, although I'd say that the preference and really the applications that are going to go to the top are from singular jurisdictions. That's just based on, we offer other technical assistance that's multi-jurisdictional. We do want to really dig deep into a specific jurisdiction's transportation planning, decision-making, and project development process. So we really are prioritizing singular jurisdictions. My next question is, will the localities pay for travel for their 10 people? The question is, the answer is no. We do provide you a travel stipend. There are some restrictions around that. For instance, no first-class travel. We do ask that you follow the federal per diem rate, but we will be able to cover, I'd say probably, there is funding to cover travel for up to the 10 people to a limit, but you should not expect to have to pay for your travel. The next question is, are health districts eligible for the Safe Streets Academy? This is a form of local government that represents 3 cities with populations of 123,000. The cohort would be city staff from all 3. I think this goes back to the other question, that the answer is yes, although depending on kind of the cohort that's selected, they may not reach the top, because we do want to be able to get into the really into the weeds with one jurisdiction. What I would say to this question is that if you were selecting those staff, to make sure that you do have the top level transportation decision makers in each of the cities included in that. So that is the answer to that. The next question is, can 100,000 be a daytime population, or must it be residents? We do ask that it is your, that's a really good question. I do not think we would define that, so unless I hear from our grantor, I'd say you would be welcome to apply depending on what that actually means. So I'm going to get to the next question. So can you explain the requirement to raise $8,000 in funds or in-kind donations? Yes. And I realize I should probably slow down just a little bit. But what we're seeing is we really want each jurisdiction to be able to demonstrate and practice what they're learning. I'm a big believer, as we all are at the National Complete Streets Coalition, in experiential learning. And so we will be offering a small subgrant of $8,000 to each cohort to go out and launch this demonstration project. And it may be doing temporary curb bulb outs on your main street, or closing off your main street for a weekend. What we do ask is that you match this to show your support by either, let's say I wanted to close off, or I wanted to do temporary curb bulb outs for the day. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, think about there is a crosswalk and you have a curb, and you as a pedestrian move from curb to curb. This is an extension of the curb, and so you're actually making this crossing distance shorter for a pedestrian or for a cyclist or anyone crossing that street. Often this is done through actual pavement and concrete extending the curb. Now you might want to test out whether this works, so you use large planters. And it could be that the planters are donated by a local hardware store. Another example of this may be that you are closing down Main Street for the day and having a walking street event. We ask that you work with the community so that their time, you're counting either a business community's time or community groups, that you're counting their time as the in-kind donation. The other thing, I've seen temporary roundabouts done in communities, and roundabouts are one of the proven engineering and counter safety measures endorsed by the FHWA, and those have again been done through things like large planters, turf, and they're actually executed not just by, they're created and executed not just by the DOT, but groups have worked with local artists, they've worked with local Ys, local school groups. So you're counting all of that as the in-kind donation. You could also receive a grant or a donation from a local business, your local realtors association, perhaps your chamber, to help carry this off. So that is what we mean, is that we want this to be a collaborative effort with your community, that this is something you do together with the community versus to the community. The next question is, will there be money to cover the cost of hosting a 2-day workshop? That is one of the answer is no, because one of the, we do want to make this as accessible as possible by providing a travel stipend, by providing funds to the demonstration project. One of the requirements that we do ask is that you provide the meeting space for the academy to meet when we're in a community, and that you do provide the breakfast and the lunch for all the, there's going to be about the 30-person academy cohort, as well as the instructors and trainers. And if we are doing a site visit to a specific intersection or corridor for our case study work, that there's vans or some other form of transportation provided. The next question is, can MPO staff be part of a city's cohort, i.e. as one of the members? I would say yes, the majority of people do need to come from that city's cohort, but I understand the link between MPOs, metropolitan planning organizations, really those regional planning organizations that help not only do transportation planning, but are involved in the federal funding of the city's projects, so that would be fine. The next question is, do we need to choose a corridor for the demonstration project in the application? The good answer is no. You are welcome to have one in mind, but what we'll really be doing is through the Safe Streets Academy, through the modules, the in-person and distance learning modules, we'll start to talk about how you identify those corridors, how you identify those intersections. So no, you probably have an area in mind. I think most of us know where some of our most dangerous corridors or intersections are in our community, just through our experience of them. But we will give you criteria and actually help you select those based on what we're needing to learn. The next question that I have, and you'll have to excuse me because I'm reading these in real time from the screen, is, do encouragement or educational projects that aren't engineering qualify for the academy? Unfortunately, the answer is no. This academy is really focused on helping bring forward those proven engineering counter safety measures that FHWA has recommended. This is, we talk about in traffic safety, there are the 4 E's, and now there's about 10 E's, but kind of the traditional 4 E's were enforcement, education, evaluation, engineering. The new ones are, equity, emergency services, and that we really, this is really starting to focus on the education of engineers, so that engineering, we are working on engineering that best provides infrastructure to promote safety and reduce fatalities. So the next question is, are community development nonprofits that work with local governments eligible? No, this is for a government entity, although unless you're contracted with the local government to carry out those transportation services, you are not eligible to submit. However, I highly encourage you to work with your local community to submit an application, and you are welcome to help them with that. So the next question is, what is the overall time commitment for the corridor? So I don't have an exact number in front of you, but we do ask that you commit to attending, and you do need to commit in advance to each of the 2-day trainings, so that's 6 days total plus travel time, as well as 6 distance learning modules, which will be approximately an hour each. Also the planning and the execution of the demonstration project, and that will vary depending on the demonstration project that you select. You will also be able to access Smart Growth America's staff and our trainers, are nationally recognized trainers, and so that would be kind of up to you. And then your presentation, again, that would to your city council, your elected officials, your community, that would depend on the time that you put into the development of and then the actual presentation. But you would need to commit to, as I said, the minimum of these 6 training days, the 6 in-person distance learnings, and planning, developing, and executing the demonstration project and presentation. The next question is, what does the interview process consist of? Who is interviewed? So the interview process will be with the finalists for this, and it will involve a phone call, so there's no travel required. I will be the primary interview, as well as other people on the project team. We will be interviewing, I would ask that at least 3 members of your cohort are present on the team. You are welcome to pick who you think are your best spokespeople, and it's by no means limited to 3 people, but that we would ask that a minimum of 3 people from your cohort are on the call, and so whoever you feel is the best spokesperson for that. The next question is, what is the full project timeline from date of award to the date of completion? So we will be announcing we will be announcing the Academy the first week of August, and from there it's going to be about a 9.5 month process from the date of the award to the date of completion. We do need to finish by the first week, actually the second week of June, and so it will be from about mid-August to mid-June. The next question, I love this question. How will the Academy support community outreach surrounding the demonstration project? I would say as much as needed and as much as we can provide. One of the things that's near and dear to my heart is public engagement and community outreach, and that's actually one of the skills that and one of the I should say it's not even a module, but something we're infusing into all of the trainings, but we're also available for one-on-one phone support. We'll also be engaging with Ben Stone, the Director of Creative Placemaking, who uses, again, creative placemaking as a community outreach tool. The project team involves engineers who have done a lot of community outreach through their projects, and so we want to support that as much as needed. And so that, hopefully that is the answer, as much as you are willing to listen to us. So the next question is, could you explain further the reimbursement for travel to and from the in-person workshops? So in our grant proposal, as you remember, we're very fortunate to be one of the 7 recipients from the National Safety Council's Road to Zero Innovation Grant Program. We did budget $10,500, a maximum of $10,500 for each cohort to travel to the other cohorts for one visit. So you will have 2 trips, so that's a total of a maximum of $21,000 to cover the travel of your cohort. So, and you will need to use the federal per diem rates and the federal hotel rates, but that's over $1,000 a person for each trip. And again, that's the maximum. We will require receipts, and so so you will be given a maximum of that. The next question is, does Smart Growth America anticipate continuing this program in the future years? Gosh, I sure hope so. I don't know, though. This is a one-year grant. Thanks again to the National Safety Council, we were able to launch this really innovative, exciting program. It is something that we designed to be replicated by other jurisdictions and something that we would like to continue in the future. However, we have not secured funding beyond this first academy. The next question is, can we use an existing local project as the demonstration project, or does it need to be specifically for the academy? I think the answer would be it depends. You know, is it a local project that you're currently working on? And what would it mean? So the answer is it really depends on the context of what's going on now. It's not a flat no. It's definitely it would just depend on the circumstances and exactly what's involved and if it fits within our grant requirements. But we're certainly open to that. The next question, this is a follow-up to the community engagement. We'll support community engagement with technical expertise, but not the execution. That is true so much in that we did not budget additional funding for us to travel to the demonstration projects, although we might be able to do so. So I am looking at that. You know, it would depend on specifically what the need was. You know, I would say, is the execution in person? What does that really mean? So it's a possibility. The next question is, how long are the site visits? So that's 2 full days. So you need to plan to be there for a full 8 hours plus travel. It's depending on where you are coming from and going. You need to be ready to, go at 8:30 a.m. to about 5 that day, and then 8:30 to 5 the next day. So I'd anticipate it will, again, we could be as far as Alaska to Florida. We're not sure yet because hopefully many of you will apply, but yes, it will involve 2 full 8-ish hours days plus the travel. The next question is, are there any examples of previous case studies that we can reference? Yes, there are a lot, although I might need some clarity on that question if you want to type that into the box. It's referring to the case studies that we'll develop as part of our evaluation. Yes, what we're really asking you to do there is to work with our staff. We'll be writing the case studies, but we'll need a lot of your data, and there will be a lot of qualitative interviews that we'll do as part of putting that case study together. It will be Smart Growth America staff writing it, just to be clear, but that we're asking that you work with us to provide us with the information we need to do the case study so that we can share this information with communities across the United States. The next question is, can cities with less than 100K collaborate with other cities to meet the 100K? Unfortunately, in this case, the answer is no, although I encourage you to look at other technical assistance available through Smart Growth America that would fulfill this requirement. The next question is, does the demonstration project have to be temporary? And then I see a follow-up question is, does it need to be, are demonstration projects made permanent or temporary infrastructure? I think getting into this, we want you to try out what you're doing. If it works, I think you should keep it. Again, I hate that so many of my answers are, it depends, but the idea is you're testing an idea and that you don't have to commit to it. We've seen these demonstration projects really work well in communities that are interested, but there's there's questions around whether this will work, what will it really mean. So we're asking you to go out and try something out. And obviously, I would love if what you try out is something that's embraced. And that's actually one of the things that we find a lot in these demonstration projects is that a community may be resistant to a roundabout, and then they put it in for a weekend. They did this in the Chicagoland area. I watched a fabulous presentation on this, and the community loved it so much that they asked that it be permanent. So that's certainly a hope that we have, but we want you to go out and test ideas. We hope that it's something that community embraces, but you're certainly not penalized if it's something that doesn't work, because that's part of the learning process. The next question is, should we include other supporting documents like a complete streets policy in the application? It certainly would not hurt, and I would love to see that. So the answer is yes, absolutely. If you have other supporting documents, it is not required, but it will certainly strengthen your application. Although, again, and I wouldn't discourage any communities that don't have a complete streets policy, even though we're the National Complete Streets Coalition, which is why we put in the 3 other criteria. The other thing I would say is many of you are probably familiar with our Best Complete Streets Policies Award, where we rank the policies. You will not be penalized if your policy has received a average or below average score. We're really looking at kind of comprehensively how you're working to improve. So that will not be part of the criteria. Which leads to my next question, which is, can you talk more about how you'll choose the winners? Which criteria are important? That is a great question. I think the criteria, they're all important, but what we'll be looking for is really a multidisciplinary commitment for you to do this. I think what that means is that this is something that's been recognized by your Public Works Department and your Transportation Department and your elected leaders and your Department of Public Health and your Department of Planning. So that's a very large criterion, that you're able to secure really those decision makers within your jurisdiction. So that will be a very big criteria. I think it's too, what are you doing right now? Is it working? The questions that you have. If you've been already able to identify some of the barriers to implementation, or you've been thinking about it, I wouldn't again worry about. I wouldn't worry if things aren't working. That's what's so exciting about this. I think it's too, what level of community engagement have you participated in or are you interested in? So that is one of the other criteria that we're really looking at. I think it's like anything that you apply for, though. I'm looking. We as the selection team will be looking for an application that's well put together, that demonstrates the need for why you're doing this, what you've already tried, and that you're excited to do this. But I think it's being able to meet these requirements. I'm going to pull up the application right now because we are doing this in real time. If you'll forgive me. So if we start to look at this, so at a minimum, you need to commit to all the requirements. I think, an understanding of what policies and plans and guidelines are working and what's not. And it's okay if there are a lot of challenges to implementation. I think that's what's so exciting about this. We're looking for groups that have tried to work with other stakeholders on the implementation of their policy and or are open to it. We are also looking at, what you've tried in terms of traffic safety and who you've involved and who you haven't. And what I mean by that is just not within your jurisdiction, like not just within, let's say, your city or your county, but also out, in terms of the actual government. But who are you engaging from the outside? What communities are engaging? What advocacy organizations are you engaging? Groups like, an example of this is the National Complete Streets has a very multidisciplinary steering committee like AARP, the National Association of Realtors, groups like America Walks, but we also have a state DOT, we have the American Heart Association. So, who are you involving or who are you interested in involving in this? I'd say, the way that, have you thought about who the most vulnerable populations are? Really, are you thinking about land use? Are you willing to address land use as part of this? What's working, again, what the barriers are, and what your current community engagement activities are. And again, if you don't have any, that's fine, but are you willing to work on that? We at the National Complete Streets Coalition really feel strongly about putting the people in the planning. And see the people and the people. And are you open to that? Really looking, if you are able, something that's going to be really important as we review this is, if you are able to articulate specifically what you're hoping to achieve, and then again, making sure that you get that commitment from those 10 people in at the onset. And so what happens, and the reason that we require this is I know you are like me, many of you on this call are really excited about this, but we want to see that there's not just one or two people within your agency or within your government who are excited about this, but you've had some really thoughtful discussions up front before you apply with the other people who will be involved, and that they're all willing to commit to this. So you're going in eyes wide open, excited about this. I mean, that's the last thing in terms of the criteria is we are so excited to launch this innovative program. We are so grateful to the Safety Council and the Road to Zero Coalition, and we want that level of excitement to show through. We want you to be as excited as we are. And so I think being able to articulate that excitement is really, really important to me. Here is a question. Can an MPO with a population of 150K apply but focus specifically on a city with 100K? I'd say probably it depends on who's actually involved in that cohort. I would say, too, if you have other questions, you can send an email to info@completestreets.org. This isn't your only time to ask questions, and so if you wanted to talk about the specifics of your application, please send your questions to info@completestreets.org. The next question is, does the 8K need to be committed at the time of the application, or is it acceptable to commit to raise these funds? It is acceptable to commit, and we can even talk about ways to do that. So I think it's just you need to commit to doing it, but you certainly don't need to raise it in the next 3 weeks. The next question is, my organization is a RPC, that's a Regional Planning Commission, so we don't have engineers or public works on staff, just planners. Do we need to partner with another jurisdiction to apply? That is a good question. I'd ask whoever sent that to me to email me individually. Because I would need to talk to the Road to Zero. I would need to talk to the National Safety Council about that because that is a unique challenge. And with that, I should say, I should mention, I keep referencing the National Safety Council's Road to Zero coalition. We are so excited about being a part of this coalition. Those of you might know there's Vision Zero cities in the community, but this is really the national coalition that's working on reducing traffic fatalities throughout the country, and we are a member, and that's how we're able to offer this. And we will, I invite all of you to join the coalition. We'll send that out as well, but you can join and find out more information about the Safety Council and their initiative in particular at nsc.org/road to zero, but we'll make sure we send that out all as well. Let's see, when you say commit to cohort members, do you mean individuals or positions? I would say, to me, those are individuals because I think, it gets back to we need to have that have that conversation with your applicant, your applying cohort up front about what this means. If, you're hiring or if there's an issue, we're open to that. So feel free to shoot us an email again at info@completestreets.org, and we can talk about if there's a concern in terms of getting those individuals on board. Looks like I think I've answered every question. I'll go through that. I'm working with someone else from my team, and so it looks like that's it. So again, I just want to say a big thank you. I apologize that we ran through a lot of those questions really quickly. So I would say please feel free to follow up. We want to help you be successful in your application. This is really something we want to bring to all of you, and that the National Safety Council wants to bring to all of you. So we are committed to helping you create the most successful application possible. This is the beginning of a conversation. Shoot us an email, and we're willing to speak with any one of you who have more questions about this. And so please don't hesitate. I would say to pick up the phone, but to shoot an email. I see one question is coming in. If your cohort has a member from each of the required categories, can other people be added, like public health staff or land use planners? Yes, absolutely, to that. Thanks for that question, Lauren. So with that, we're going to conclude. But again, this is I want to thank you all for joining me, and really thanking the National Safety Council for making all of this possible. I encourage all of you to join, again, the Road to Zero Coalition, which has been something I've been so proud to be a part of, and it's been really exciting. You'll have access to other materials through that, and I would say definitely good reading and good homework to do in advance of your application is to really look at what the Road to Zero Coalition is doing as well. We are working hand in hand with them, and we're so thankful and excited to be doing this. And I want to thank you all and hope each and every one of you has a great weekend. And I will look forward to seeing all of your applications sometime within the next 3 weeks. Thank you so much.